a certain amount of harmony in the political stories today. Going back to that Farage speech, he argued that the bond markets were getting nervous and that in 2 budgets' time they'd actually forced the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, into what he called a genuine austerity budget. But the Labour left wouldn't buy that, he said, which would cause an economic collapse, followed by an election in 2027. Now, you might think, oh, well, that's Nigel banging on again. But there are Labour people as well who are worried about the parliamentary party's effect on the bond markets, and LBC's political correspondent Aggie Chambre has a scoop about that very subject for us now. She's with me. Aggie.
That's right, Andrew. So Labour MPs and also special advisers are, as they're called, are being told that one of the greatest risks to the economy, to the bond markets at the moment is the instability of the Parliamentary Labour Party. They are basically being given these briefings by people like former Treasury Minister Kitty Usher. She was a Treasury Minister 2007. She now works for Barclays. And it sounds like she's sort of been asked to do this by Number 10, her along with some other
I was going to say, is this Number 10 basically putting the frighteners on Labour MPs, saying, come into line, vote for what you're told to, and stop trying to get rid of the Prime Minister?
Honestly, I think that is exactly what has happened. So they have this sort of, it's called SPAD school, and all the special advisors come and they're given these presentations. And I'm told Kitty Usher turned up with these charts and basically said, look, this is really, really, really bad. She warned that it would not take too much to cause a Liz Truss style market meltdown. She also said chaos would be...
Tell me that again. It wouldn't take... We're quite close to a Liz Truss style moment.
Not necessarily quite close, but it wouldn't take too much to get there. And she also said chaos would be unleashed in the markets if the Chancellor Rachel Reeves were to be replaced in Number 11. And when I asked someone what were the point of this meeting and the meetings happening with MPs too, they said to scare people into submission ahead of the budget. So I think exactly as you put your finger on, I think that is what is happening. But it sounds like they are genuinely really, really worried because the markets, she was saying, and other people are saying to these MPs too, are really worried. And they say the thing that is worrying them the most is political instability. And the thing that is really worrying them is the fact that the government can't get things through, like that crucial welfare vote. Obviously, they did get it through, but they had to make a number of U-turns before they did back in July.
This takes me back a little bit to the Andy Burnham moment at the time of the Labour conference. He was saying, let's not worry too much about the bond markets, and the bond markets went bonkers just as a result of that comment. So to this extent, it's the bond market saying we don't necessarily trust the ability of the Labour Party to get welfare cuts through, and we're particularly worried about any attempt to get rid of the Chancellor or the Prime Minister.
I think that is exactly what is happening, and they're basically saying, look, just trying to put the frighteners on people, saying we are in quite a precarious position when we're just only sort of 23 days out from the budget. And they are basically saying to these MPs, saying to special advisors to basically get in line because this could be very, very bad. And, you know, I'm sure you're hearing the same thing, but I'm being told by lots and lots of people, the budget is going to be very, very difficult. And I think they're saying to these MPs ahead of that, don't make any sudden moves because this could be even worse than it has to be.
I hear the same. Aggie, jolly good story. Thank you very much indeed for that. But we have really gone above and beyond for you tonight because Aggie's is not the only exclusive look behind the curtains of the Parliamentary Labour Party. Our reporter, Joseph Draper, is also here in the studio with one of his own. Joseph.
Well, Andrew, 4 MPs were stripped of the whip back in July. Rachael Maskell, Duncan Jordan, Brian Leishman and Chris Hinchliff. They were among, you'll remember, 120 MPs who signed that rebel amendment, forcing the government to scale back many of the planned cuts to the welfare payments. They've now been told by the Chief Whip they won't be allowed back this year, meaning they'll be out of the fold for at least 6 months because they haven't been punished enough. Now, Poole MP Duncan Jordan has been describing his meeting with the Chief Whip.
There's an indication that we haven't served our time yet, we haven't served our punishment yet. Some individuals in the Labour Party, and I don't know who they are, think that it would be too soon for us to come back. It would give the wrong impression. And the whole process is completely opaque. It lacks transparency. To be left sort of hanging, not knowing, is really unacceptable, I think.
And there is a common link with Aggie's story as well. This is being seen as an attempt to stop potentially another rebellion just weeks before the Chancellor delivers her autumn budget. Now, Mr. Jordan and his colleague, Brian Leishman, who he was also suspended, we've been speaking to him, they've both called on Number 10 not to be afraid of debate.
If we want our MPs to question, to analyse, to challenge, to speak out, then we have to allow them to occasionally say, I don't agree with this and I'm going to vote against it. Yeah. If we don't want politicians like that, then a robot could do my job, because a robot would be super loyal and it would do exactly what you wanted it to do every single time.
Now, we've been speaking to sources close to the Whip's office, Andrew. They say they've not put a time frame on a potential return to the party, but they want to resolve this issue as soon as possible. And a spokesperson for the Labour Party said the recent meetings with those MPs had been constructive and they would continue.